Hi, my name is Carrie Pavlik, and today I'm going to tell you about some of the paranormal activity at the Hotel Conneaut. So I first became interested in Hotel Conneaut when I was working on my senior project. I was researching paranormal legends around Crawford County, and Hotel Conneaut was the first on my list. And I just really fell in love with it then, and I started working there the next summer. So over the years working there, people would tell me even more paranormal stories. Guests would tell me about ghostly happenings that occurred to them while they were here, and I started writing them down and putting them together into a book. And then I eventually started selling that book at the hotel. So the most famous legend at the Hotel Conneaut is that of Elizabeth, and she is a bride who supposedly died in the fire in 1943. She had either just been married or her wedding was the next day. There's different reports. And her fiance got out. She continued to look for him in the flames, and she did not get out. So that's how the urban legend goes. We don't know if that's actually true because it was in April 1943, and chances are the hotel was not even open at that time. So there's no record of anyone dying in the hotel. We don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's still where a lot of the ghostly activity is attributed to Elizabeth. People will smell roses or jasmine. Objects will move and then reappear, lights on and off, doors opening and closing, water on and off. People will see a shadow out of the corner of their eye, and all of that's usually attributed to Elizabeth. We think that her room might have been room 128 in the old wing of the hotel. Whenever psychics or mediums come, they often pick up on that room or that wing, get really strong vibes from there. And one summer we were having a fireworks display for one of the holidays, and someone came in afterwards to the front desk and said, "Oh, that's a very clever publicity stunt you pulled, having the light on in Elizabeth's room and a figure standing in the window." And we said that we didn't do anything. That wing has been locked up the whole summer. So that's why we think it might be over there. So a really interesting story is that of Michael, and he's a lost little boy who is said to approach people and ask them to help him find his mother. And for a long time, that's all that I really knew about this story, until one particular summer when 3 different people all reported seeing him within a several-week span. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of information in the book that I had written about this boy, about what he looked like or where he had been seen, yet all 3 people reported seeing the exact same thing. So one lady went into the fireplace room where there's now a TV, and she saw this little boy crying. He had dark hair, dark circles under his eyes, and pale skin. And she put out her arm to take his hand, and he disappeared in front of her. I can be skeptical at times too, but it's stories like this that really give you goosebumps because all 3 people saw the exact same thing within a short amount of time, and there was nothing in the book about it then, so there's no way they could have compared stories or anything. And one couple was so freaked out that they actually checked out of the hotel early. So another legend at the Hotel Conneaut is the couple that dances in the ballroom. They have been seen swirling around in there. People will hear music, they'll see lights on. So people have reported seeing the ghost of a little girl on a tricycle. They will hear the sound of little giggles and then get tripped, and they think it might be that girl. Another time, a park volunteer was staying at the hotel with her husband, and they were walking down the first floor hallway when this little girl on an old-fashioned metal tricycle came just racing towards them. She had long blonde hair and was wearing an old-fashioned white dress. They had to actually physically part so that she could go by, and then they turned around and she just wasn't there. So they didn't really know what to think of it. They thought maybe there was a door that was open that she went into. They just couldn't really process it until a couple weeks later. That was the first time she had read my book, and she was looking through and she saw the story about the little girl on the tricycle, and she said she threw the book across the room and she called her husband and said it was a ghost that we saw. So another well-known ghost at the Hotel Conneaut is John, and he seems to reside in the fireplace lounge. For a long time, people would say that he would show up in photos next to the fireplace. I've never actually seen one of these photos. Occasionally you'll see a photo of an orb or something like that. But either way, this is a very prominent ghost. Whenever mediums or psychics come to the hotel, they always pick up on him right away. They always get the exact same story. His name is John. He knows he's a ghost, and he's taken it as his personal duty to stand guard over the hotel. Countless medium has also told me that John likes me in particular, and that he is often hanging around with me, which might explain why when I said hi to him that one day, I felt something brush by my arm. We're not sure exactly the origin of John. One medium said that she thought that he was a front desk clerk in the 30s or 40s, but more often we hear reports from mediums that he actually predated the hotel, that he died in a duel on the grounds of the hotel, long before the hotel was ever here, and that story has come up several times. So the only really troublesome ghost at the hotel is a chef in the restaurant, and he's been known to throw pots and pans, even knives, at employees working here. People have reported seeing candlesticks floating through the air. Another time they came in to open up for the morning and all the garbage cans and brooms were piled in front of the door and they had trouble even getting into the restaurant that day. Another particular summer, there was a window that they just could not keep shut. Someone would shut it and they'd come back later and it was open. They'd shut it, come back, it's open, just over and over again. So finally they nailed it shut and came back and found that the nails were bent out and it was open again. So a lot of these stories have been floating around for a long time, like Elizabeth, the couple in the ballroom. So that's how I knew that the hotel had these ghost stories when I was doing my senior project. I'd already had heard about Elizabeth just growing up. You hear about that. The other stories, as I worked here, guests would come and tell me about experiences that they had in their rooms. Psychics and mediums would come and tell me what they had picked up, and I just kept getting a lot of repetitive stories from guests and mediums, and that's how I kind of put these stories together.